Elisa Lam was a Canadian student at the University of British Columbia who went missing while staying as a tourist at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles, United States. Her body was found in a water tank on the roof of the hotel by a maintenance worker. Lam was completely naked when her body was found, and her clothes were in the water with her. The Los Angeles Medical Examiner's Office released the autopsy report 4 months later, stating that there was no evidence of physical trauma and that the manner of death was accidental. Elisa Lam, the daughter of immigrants from Hong Kong, was a student at the University of British Columbia, but was not enrolled in early 2013. In mid-2010, Lam started a blog on Blogspot called Ether Fields. For 2 years, she published fashion-related images as well as posts about her life, especially her mental disorders. In a January 2012 post titled, "The Thought That You're Wasting Your Life Haunts You," quoting Chuck Palahniuk, she wrote about having to drop a few classes at the beginning of the academic semester due to a relapse of her disorders and feeling completely derailed and lost. Lam was worried that her grades would suffer due to the high number of classes she had to miss, which would negatively impact her education and prevent her from pursuing postgraduate studies. Elisa Lam was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression and was prescribed 4 medications for her treatment. According to her family, Elisa had no history of suicidal thoughts or attempts, but she had a previous report of being missing. On her trip to California, Elisa Lam traveled alone on Amtrak and intercity buses. She visited the San Diego Zoo and posted photos she took there on social media. On January 26th, 2 days after arriving in Los Angeles, she checked into the Cecil Hotel near Skid Row in the city center. Lam was initially assigned a shared room on the 5th floor of the hotel. According to the hotel's lawyer, his roommates had complained about certain strange behavior on Lam's part. Lam was therefore moved to his own private room 2 days later. Built as a business hotel in the 1920s, there were several notable murders at the hotel. In 1964, Goldie Osgood was murdered after being raped in her room at the Cecil, and the murder was never solved. Serial killers Jack Unterweger and Richard Ramirez stayed at the Cecil when it was in operation. Suicides also occurred at the hotel. Journalist Steve Erickson, who spent a night at the hotel after Elisa Lam's death, said of the hotel, "The Cecil will bring out everything you've been running from." Around the time of the search for Elisa Lam, guests at the hotel began complaining of low water pressure. Some guests said their water was black in color and had an unusual taste. On the morning of February 19th, Santiago Lopez, a maintenance worker at the hotel, found Elisa's body inside one of 4 1,000-gallon tanks on the roof that supplied water to the guest rooms and kitchen. Through the open hatch, Lopez saw Elisa lying face down in the water. Because the protective hatch was too small for the equipment needed to remove Elisa's body, the tank was first drained, then the tank was cut open and Lam's body was removed from the tank. On February 21st, the Los Angeles Coroner's Office released a finding of accidental drowning and emphasized that bipolar disorder was a significant factor. According to a detailed forensic report released in June, Elisa's body was found naked, floating in the water in clothes similar to those she was wearing in the elevator video. The inquest determined how Elisa Lam died, but initially there was no explanation for how she got into the tank. The doors and stairs leading to the roof of the hotel were locked, only staff had passwords and keys, and any attempt to force the doors should have triggered the alarm. It was said that Elisa could have bypassed these security measures by using the hotel's fire exit. A Chinese user posted a video online after Elisa's death. The video showed that the roof of the hotel was easily accessible via the fire escape and that the lids of 2 water tanks were open. In addition to the question of how she got to the roof, there were also questions about whether she could have entered the tanks on her own. The 4 cylindrical tanks were placed on concrete blocks. There was no direct access to them, and hotel staff used ladders to look into the water. The tanks were protected by heavy lids that were difficult to move from the inside. The hotel employee who found the body said the lid was open at the time, answering the question of how he could have closed it from the inside. Police dogs that searched the hotel and the rooftop after her disappearance found no trace of Elisa. There were also various theories about the elevator video. Some claimed that Elisa was trying to hide from someone following her, while others claimed that Elisa was frustrated because the elevator was malfunctioning. Some argued that she was under the influence of illegal drugs, but they did not change their minds even though the toxicology screen came back clean. They suggested that the substances may have disintegrated during the time her body decomposed in the tank, or that Elisa may have taken them infrequently. The very low levels of prescription drugs in Elisa's body and the amount of pills left in her pill bottle suggested that she was either under-medicated or had recently stopped taking her medication. This could have led to a psychotic episode. How did Elisa Lam die? Was this death due to Lam's bipolar disorder, or was someone after her?